Thank you for visiting the Noahide Nations Torah Network. This course of Torah teaching is provided to you free by Noahide Nations at www.noahidenations.com. This course of teachings is on the 7 Noahide laws and is taught by Rabbi Zvi Avenir, who is the founder of the Noahide 7 Commandments website and can be found at www.noahide7commandments.com. Rabbi Avenir will help us to explore the depths of the 7 Noahide commandments given to all mankind through his servant Noah. Please check back regularly for new classes, and thank you again for joining us on the Noahide Nations Torah Network.
Shalom everyone, and we're going to continue our discussion about the first commandment of Noah, idolatry. To remind you, that's our topic, first commandment. Everything we just learned is so far pertaining to idolatry, and we said that idolatry, we identify idolatry, let's say here, know your creator, know yourself, and know your difference, which is based, this definition of idolatry is based on the verse that describes our creation in Genesis, when Elokim said, let us make man, Adam, in our image and our form. When he says that, he actually put himself, so to speak, and us likened to each other. I mean, let us make Adam in our form, in our image. And that's if you're not careful, this can lead to idolatry, according to Rashi. So, to understanding how to overcome idolatry, we need to know our Creator, we need to know ourselves, and what's the difference between us. What's the difference? What is similarity between us, so to speak, if there is any similarity, and what's the difference? There are, in this formula, in this equation, in this to know the Creator, to know ourselves, and to know the difference. So the Torah works this way. First, it presents the first part of the equation is to know the Creator. So the Torah tells us who is the Creator, what is name. The Torah emphasizes the name here. The name is extremely important. What did he do? What does he want from us? And then finally in the story to reach to us and to see how we are built in order to meet his demand or his trial. So everything we learn now is, or the Torah wants us to know when she presents the story of Genesis, is to know that, to know the Creator, to know how we judge the world, and to know ourselves. And we have seen how important it is to know the Creator by name, to know the real name of the Creator in precise way. You cannot replace the name by any other substitute. If you say, in the beginning God created the world, this statement is full of reverence. Wow, God created the world. But in fact, it's empty. It doesn't mean anything. You took the Torah and you emptied it from His message. Because when you say God created the world in the beginning, God created the world, this statement is simply empty. It doesn't mean anything. So what does it mean to me? He created the world. So what? Let Him create the world. What does it affect me? But if I say the real name, if I say that Elokim, the judge, created the world, what a difference in the world. Now we know that the world is created to stand judgment, the entire world, not only us. So the precision in the name is extremely important, the Torah, especially when you study Torah. Yeah, I can refer to Him as a God in a reverence, as an expression of my reverence to Him. But not when I learn Torah. When I learn Torah, when I learn the Genesis, when I want to derive meaning or implication to my life, I need to know what the Torah is telling me. And the Torah is telling me that the world was created to stand judgment. If I miss that, if I just disregard it, there is no Rosh Hashanah, there is no Day of Judgment, there is no Sabbath, there is nothing. You don't even know it exists, because you misread the first verse. So today, this is what we discussed in the past, and today we are going to focus on a new name of the Creator. And in a similar way, the precision is extremely important of that name, the new name that we're going to learn. If you just change the name or replace it with a different name, or you mispronounce it not right, or you don't understand its meaning, well, you obliterated the entire message of the Torah. If you're not careful with the name and its meaning, the message is gone. You can kiss the Torah, you can dance with it, you can praise it, you can even die for it, but you don't know what it says. So the meaning, today we are going to introduce, or the Torah actually introduced to us as we go with our story. We learn Genesis. The Torah introduced to us in our class today a new name. Now, but again, the name has no meaning if it does not answer a certain need. It's the Torah put the name in a certain context, in a part of the story of Genesis, because it has some implication, it has some meaning, like Elokim. Elokim was presented to us in the beginning to tell us that at the beginning everything was created when the infinite Creator was sitting on the throne of absolute justice. So he created the world for 6 days with absolute justice. Now in the story something happened that required, or that caused, so to speak, the Creator to introduce himself to the world in a different name. You know, the Creator, the infinite Creator, that has no name, is beyond our conception. He got many names, and the names appear in the Torah, and the titles and the name appear in the Torah in a very precise manner. And to answer, as the Talmud says, to answer a specific need at a specific time, like in the split of the sea, or the warrior, or whatever it appears to in the story of the Bible. You have to be careful with the name, because otherwise you miss the whole message. So now we are focused on the second attribute, on a totally different attribute that we have seen so far. So what have we discussed last time? Last time we discussed, and I'm not going to repeat the whole thing, just to put you into a mood, to bring you into the mood of what we discussed. So class number 6 last time, we talked about the circumstances around which Adam was created. So this is a last week class, and we saw that man was born, just to go over things quickly over things that we learned last time, to refresh our memory. So Adam, we were born on the 6th day, not on the first day, but the 6th day, and that's Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the 6th day of creation. Adam, and as we were born, the day started like any other day, we said, and Elokim created the cattle, the beasts, and the snakes, actually very social animals before us, before we were created. Ants, everything that crawled on the ground, apes. Then he suddenly turned around and he stopped doing what he was doing so far, and he made a judgment. He passed a judgment on the middle of the day while the sun was still in its zenith. It was very unusual for him to do, because usually he passed the judgment only at the end of the day, on that particular floor, on that particular day that he has just finished. But now on the 6th day, he stopped in the middle of the day. There is a debate in the Talmud. It was the first third of the day, some say in the middle of the day, some say at the end of the day, almost. It's important because as we said, days lasted millions of years. So the question is, at what point man was created on that day before the Sabbath? How long time do we have before we arrive to the Sabbath? So the time, the precise time on the day that Adam was created on the sixth day, it's really not known. It's debated in the Talmud. But anyhow, conceptually, it can be done, let's say, in the middle of the day when the sun is in the zenith. And he turned around and he impatiently and actually prematurely judge the day to see if it's good or not, because if it's not good, he's going to eliminate that floor, that whatever he created so far on that floor, not the entire building, just this floor. And as it turned out, he says it's good, like all the other days. And Elokim saw that it was good, as I put here. And this was in the middle of the sixth day. And now he's going to go and continue to create Adam. And let me make a point here. Had Elokim created us, continue to create us, as he has done all the animals before us, all we would have to answer is the man to be good. So had we continued the same way that he had done so far, he would have said, let it be man, let it be Adam, and we would have been just another creature in nature, like maybe sophisticated apes or sophisticated ants, social creature that create and build, but as a reflex, according to the DNA that Elokim put it in us. We would have been we could have actually been very smart, even invent computer and science and everything, but we would have still been like sophisticated spiders or other social animals, bees or whatever. They create their own social level, and we would have created just another human-like society, that's just another step in evolution or creation or guided evolution, as you want. We would have been just another creature in nature. In that case, we would have been judged just to be good. Well, everything we would have done would have been through his command, and it would be very simple. We had to answer his laws or not. If we are not, we are wiped on that floor, like all the other animals. All the other animals has to answer his judgment and to be good. But as it turned out, well, before he made us, he turned around and he lifted his sword even higher than ever before. Now he was judging the entire building. As it says Elokim at the end of the Genesis chapter 1, and Elokim, the judge, he saw everything that he has done. Elokim saw that everything he has done, and behold, it was very good. So he judged the entire building at the end of the sixth day, and he added, first of all, it was the entire building, and he added another criteria, very good. Now, to be good is not good enough. We are made to make the creation very good in his eyes. So he made the criteria more strict. We are not born here just to be another creature in evolution, just another sophisticated ape. We need to make him very pleased with us. He should feel us very good. Otherwise, if we don't do that, actually the entire creation is going to go away, as Rashi said, that this happened before, that the Elokim wiped out many universes before ours. Now, what is the option? What would happen to creation if we are not considered very good in his eyes? So here we said that the hint for that is an amazing Hebrew word, finish, at the end of the sixth day. So, and he says, at the end of the day, he says, and Elokim before the Sabbath, and the heaven and the earth were finished, vaychulu, and Elokim finished his work. Now, if you read the English text, well, Elokim finished. That's all. He finished the work, so he's resting. It has no meaning. It has absolutely no meaning. What does it mean? Look, God rested. What? He was tired. What does God needs to rest? But of course, if you say Elokim rested, it means, first of all, if you use the precise word of name, it means the judgment rest. He rested from judging and from creating new things, a new floor. So that's what he meant he rested, and especially the judgment aspect. He stopped the judgment. Why? Because everything was so good, he doesn't need to continue judgment on the Sabbath. And we said that the Hebrew word finished is kala here is not to translate it as what is finished is understatement. There are many words in Hebrew that the Torah could have picked to describe the ending of the work. If it just wanted to say that Elokim ended the world, she could say Gamar or another Hebrew name, verb. But she picked the word Vaychulu Kala, which is actually Kilion, is a total annihilation, like total destruction. And you can, as I said, in English you say, I finish you, I'm going to terminate you, I will finish you. You can use it also in English, but it's not as strong as if you know Hebrew. The word kala is not just finish you. I will obliterate your memory as if you were never been here before. I will wipe you out from your name, your memory. Nobody will even remember that you existed. That's what it means, kala. Kala means zero, nothing will remain from you. That's an amazing word. It was picked up here. At the same time, and you can see it in Hebrew, in the holy language Hebrew, and the word kala also means a bride, which means the opposite of annihilation. It means love and longing to get into marriage with this bride. So Elokim presented before our birth, he presented to creation a demand. Either you excel and become very good. If that happens, I will rest, and you will see the Sabbath, the next creation day. Or, if you don't excel, if Adam with you will not make you very good, in my eyes, well, I will terminate the whole world. So here is the option, this final judgment at the end of the sixth day. We are born on the sixth day. And we are moving, human history is moving, according to the Kabbalah, to the seventh day. And while we are moving, Elokim judge every year if we manage to make him feel very good or not. Have we moved forward to please him or not? If we pleased him, he can tolerate us. It will give us another year, or we'll move forward. If not, God forbid, we can face annihilation. And so that's the course of our history. Moving we are born on the sixth day, moving towards either annihilation or the Sabbath. When Elokim finally will rest, which means nature will rest. So we mentioned this is a bride. We mentioned other brides. Creation is potentially a bride. But when I say creation is Rabban Soloveitchik, so when I say creation is a bride, actually it means the same thing. What does mean creation is a bride on the seventh day? It means what I just said, that the Sabbath is his bride. And human being, some people say, or the Assembly of Israel is a bride. It's the same idea. The same idea in different colors, different name, but we are moving forward. And that's why on every Friday night we come and sing, and we in the synagogue we sing, walk my groom towards your bride. The groom is Elokim, the bride is Sabbath, the queen. So he is a king, he is a groom. He walks toward the Sabbath, the queen, and in her honor, honoring her. Well, the groom always, in Jewish tradition, I think in other tradition also, the groom is the one who walks toward the Kala, towards the bride, to invite her to come to his home. So the Kala is sitting on a chair, and he walks towards her to ask her to come to his home. So the groom here is a groom, the beloved groom, Lecha Dodi, walk my groom towards your bride, we sing in the synagogue before the Sabbath. And who is gonna be the one who merits to escort, the best friend of the groom that will escort the groom towards the Kala? Who is that? That man. So we are, as we sing in the synagogue, we together, I will go with you, my groom, and together we will welcome the Queen of the Sabbath, the Queen Sabbath. So that's what we learned last time, and now we're going to learn what actually happened on that day. The question is that we need to answer today: how would man make him feel very good? What is missing in this world that man can provide to Elokim that make the world very good? What is missing here? How can we make the world very good in the eyes of Elokim? For that we need to go back to the verse that describe our creation. Alright, now we're gonna study now a wonderful section, the appearance of the second attribute, the attribute of mercy into the world. So what happened here? Elokim says, after he created the first part, and he says, let us make Adam in our form and in our image. So we want to understand what is our judgment. How can we make him very pleased with us? So he turned around and he speak in plural, and he says, let us make man in our form, in our image. What is unique? What is the unique in this verse? First of all, what is the tone here? First of all, with whom he is speaking? Let us make man. Who is it? With whom does he speak? Does it, and how does he speak? What's the tone? Is it a command? Is it a request? Does he beg anybody? Let us make man do. Who is he speaking? With whom does he speak? And so, and why the plural language? Because Elokim always speak with singular. Why the plural? Well, people can think there are many more creators than one. So first of all, let's focus on the tone here. Elokim said, let us make Adam. What is the difference between this and all the previous creatures? You see, in the past, until now, the same Elokim actually gave only command. He said, let it be light, and light was. Let the luminary hanging in the sky, and they hung. He just gave command, let it be grass, and grass happened. Grass grew. So until now, the language was giving commands. He gave orders. He was a tyrant, awesome tyrant, controlling the world by himself, consulting no one. But now, he turned around and he asked somebody, let us make man. So it's Adam. So it's not a command anymore. So what is it? Is it a request? Does he request from anybody? Is somebody higher than him? Who is higher than Elokim? Does he consult somebody? Who is smarter than him? Why does he need to consult with anybody? And yet, as according to Rashi, and Rashi of course just quote the Midrash and the Oral Torah and the Talmud. So the Rashi explained that he was consulting here, first of all, with the attribute of mercy. So now this is the first time that we are encountering another attribute of the Creator in the story, the attribute of mercy. We will discuss her name, we'll discuss how she appeared in the story, but first of all, just focus, what does it mean? So Elokim so far, until now, let me make the point again. Until now, Elokim filled the nature 32 times. the first chapter of Genesis is full of the name of Elokim appearing 32 times at the heart in Hebrew means. So Elokim is the heart of nature. There is no other chapter in the entire Torah that's so filled with the name of Elokim as the first chapter of Genesis. Almost every verse is the name of Elokim once or twice. So he feel nature. We have encountered no other name. And now in the first time, he turned around and he asked somebody another attribute of the Creator, which is according to tradition, according to, we'll see it in American, how it's reflected in the verse, the merciful attribute, to ask her to come and make Adam with him. Now, think about it for a minute. What does it mean, merciful attribute? Let me, how you call it in English, let me suggest to you the notion that the merciful aspect of the Creator is just the exact opposite of what Elokim is. The absolute justice that Elokim present is just the opposite of the absolute mercy. Why do I say that? The human being cannot conceive 180 degrees opposing concept than the absolute justice and the absolute mercy. Because according to the absolute justice says, well, a verdict is such and such. You know, I think the man or the animal or the creature did such and such, and he gets punishment according to my law. Well, the judge can be kind, can reduce the punishment or retribution, or he can make it harsher or less strong. But the fact is that the judge follows the law. He executes the law with absolute justice, with no mercy. Mercy, on the other hand, is just the opposite. Mercy says, I don't care what the judgment is. I hear what you say. I agree with you. This is absolute justice according to your criteria. But according to me, I would see the case differently. I'm full of compassion, forgiveness, and I will release the case. And that's opposing idea of absolute mercy that will forgive for any reason. She will smile at you, she will laugh at you with no hesitation. You are a child, so she loves you with compassion. She'll give you another chance. As opposed to the absolute justice is enormous dichotomy. There is almost like two opposing concepts that cannot be conceived into one. To make them one is very, very difficult, almost impossible task. Also, look at nature. The nature is full of justice, as we said, but no mercy. Well, you can say there is mercy in nature. You know, let's see, take the young mother that the mother that takes care of the youngsters, the newborn animals. So for the first few months or weeks or a year, she will take care, she will treat them with a lot of compassion and love. Yet, if you think about it, it's only a reflex, because this is just a reflex to perpetuate the species. So there is a clear benefit from that relationship, for that mercy. Whereas mercy, as we define it here, the attribute of mercy will forgive you without any benefit. It's not for your goodness or for it, just forgive you because of the sake of mercy. If mercy had controlled the world, then all the killers will be released from jail. Nobody would be put to jail, because every murderer can a story to tell you. He had a hard time to grow up, and you can identify him and you release him for free. He didn't do anything wrong. With mercy, I forgive you, give you another chance. This is just an example. How can mercy go to extreme? You know, when mercy ruled the world, there is no judgment, there is no punishment, there is no retribution. So these two concepts of merciful aspect of the Creator. And the judge, the absolute justice, are totally opposing. And yet, what the Torah is telling us now, that suddenly Elokim, when it on the middle of the sixth day, when he wanted to create us, and he wanted to make creation very good, he turned to the attribute, another face of the Creator, and asked her to join, as Rashi says, to join him in the ruling on the world. In fact, you can imagine how it happened. You can see Elokim standing there and ask the merciful one to come. She tell her to say, would you come and share with me the ruling of the world? And she come down. I call her she just to separate him from him verbally, although you can reverse the gender. The gender is not important here. It's just to separate the two of them. And the Zohar sometimes describe them as this one as the Elokim as a female and the merciful one as a male. But most of the time it's just the opposite, and the Elokim is the male, and the merciful one is mercy, and the Rachamim. Rachamim in Hebrew is womb, a womb, where a child is grown, embryo is grown, a woman womb. And a woman has this attribute of mercy more than in male, because she has a womb. Rachamim, only in Hebrew you see that the word mercy comes from the word female womb. So that's why I stick to that description of the merciful one attribute as a female. So she comes to the world as a ray of light. Which ray of light? This is the same ray of light that radiated from the menorah in the temple. You know, in the holy temple of Jerusalem, there was a menorah, a candlelight that spread light. So the rabbi said that light that radiated from the temple outside into the world is the light of the merciful one, light of mercy that radiated from the menorah. She came down not only as a ray of light, but as a beautiful cherub. And the two cherubs, actually, the Elokim is a cherub and depicted and the cherub. Genesis number 2, we'll get to that when we learn about the story of paradise, Eden. So there the two attributes are depicted as cherubs, and this is the cherub that Moses put on the holy ark, in the Holy of Holies. So she is a ray of light, a thin ray of light that came down to the world. She is a cherub, beautiful cherub that came down to join her mate, Elokim. And she is the dove, the merciful dove that Noah actually sent out from the ark. So Noah has a very close connection to the merciful one, the Yonah, the dove. So she came down conceptually to this world, and she says to him, to the groom who asked her to come. And she comes actually from the Sabbath, from the future, because she will, in the Sabbath, this is her domain. So she surrounds our world, as Chabad in Kabbalah says. They call the merciful one the attribute that surrounds our world and lives in the Sabbath, dwell in the Sabbath, king of the Sabbath. And she come down to dwell as a Shekhinah. In Shekhinah in Hebrew is dwelling. So she come down and she says to him, to the groom, where can you ask me to share the world with you? How can I share the world with you? She looked around, she looked to the right, to the left. She said, well, how can I share this world with you, your world? With your, that was created in your criteria, in your absolute judgment. Everything is good here in your eyes, but it's not good in my eyes. Well, if I had a chance to make this world according to my criteria, well, there was no calamity, there was no judgment, there was no death. Everything was just beautiful. It was Sabbath from the beginning. So she says to him, how can I share your word from the future? I will be in the future, but how can I come here to join you on the sixth day? It's not my domain. I have no place where to put my wing. I have no place to put my leg here. I have no nest. I cannot dwell anywhere here. Because everything she look around, she doesn't like it. She doesn't like, according to her criteria, we said the merciful is just the opposite of what Elokim is. So she says, well, I cannot join you. So he says, and Rashi explained all that in just one tiny line, but you need to read the Midrash, you need to read the Zohar to understand what Rashi is saying. So Elokim said to her, okay, I agree with you. This is my word, and you represent the future. But let us make Adam in our one form, in our form, in our image. And he, Adam, will escort me towards the Sabbath, the creation, toward evil. The one will provide you a nest to live in this world, in my world, in his heart. He is the one, Adam, will be our child. We have a feeling for you. You can dwell in his heart, and through him you can reside. You can take part. You will be dwelling in my world, and this is the only chance I can be very pleased at the end, and I will rest, and you can rule. And then I will give you the entire stage. Then you can go and rule the entire world, so to speak. So she agrees. The merciful one agrees. And so together they make Adam. Now, what does it mean together they make Adam? It means that, first of all, that's why in Kabbalah the two attributes are called not only the two cherubs, as I said, they call really Abba and Ima. Abba and Ima is the Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother. You know, Christianity usually knows only the Father. But we, so to speak, we are more pagan. We know that there is not only Father, we have only Mother. The only difference is that we know that those two actually means, what does it mean? It means that there are only two faces of one Creator. And they are one, they are mother and father because they got together. This is the story of Eden that we will learn when we get to chapter 2. How this is the only chapter in the Torah that the two of the cherubs fly together side by side. The merciful one and the judge, really, you can see it in the verse how they fly. And they created together Adam to fulfill their oneness. Adam will be endowed with the ability to live in Elokim world, Elokim, and to answer Elokim demands, to be very good in the eyes of Elokim, to keep his justice, to imply absolute justice in the world. At the same time, we need to please her too. We need to do her work. We need to do mercy, compassion, healing the sick, feeding the hungry, and so on. We need to do full of compassion as Abraham did. And to be beloved, Noach did. And to be beloved by the merciful one. And each attribute will judge us according to her or his criteria. And our task is to do the impossible, to take the two attributes and to make them one in our life. To take the impossible, the absolute justice and the absolute mercy, and to implement it in our life, in our system. To know what should be done in absolute justice, and to know what should be done in the eyes of mercy, and yet to satisfy the two of them in one shot, in one verdict. And that's the path of the Torah, actually. That's the secret of the Torah. The Torah is given to us as a path, as the only path that you can fulfill the two attributes and as oneness. So when people say Judaism is monotheism, When they say that, they say, okay, we have pagan world and we have monotheism world. So what's the difference? There is one God, and the pagan believe in many gods. And what is Judaism did? They just created, they stepped one level up, and they say all the pagan world, all the pagan gods are one God. So what's the difference? It's not a big deal. It's just one step, a mathematical step. And they don't understand that, that's usually when the scholar says monotheism, the Jews describe Judaism as monotheism, they really miss the boat. They don't understand anything what Torah is about. Because we are not just one God. When it says, hear of Israel, Shema Israel, when Moses says, hear of Israel, Hashem and Elokim is one, actually what he means, you take the absolute justice, and you take the absolute mercy, and you implement it take my word, follow my word, and implement it in your life, in your system, in judgment, in everything you do. You do the impossible. That's why Israel, when we say the Shema, we put our hand on our eyes, and we concentrate, because it's so difficult. We focus on the oneness. The concept of oneness, how to implement it in our life, is actually the major task of humanity. This is what will decide if we get to the Sabbath or not, if he is very pleased or not. If we deviate the course, if we, let's say in theory, if we just worship Elokim, we want just absolute justice. We will cut the hand of the thief in the market. We will stone the idolater. We will hang and stone and kill and burn all the sinners like Elokim would do. I will gouge the eyes of all the perpetrator. I will knock the tooth out of everyone who knocked my tooth out. This is the way of absolute justice. If I go that far and I forget about mercy, then I err. I err what? I violate oneness. Because I follow only my father, I forgot about my mother. On the other hand, another challenge. I can say, well, what should I... finally, I'm going to the Sabbath, and I'm going to see the Sabbath one day. The Sabbath is very close. Maybe we live at the end of the sixth day, and the Sabbath is just around the corner, and the merciful one is already here. He's here, he's already about here. So let's forgive all the sinners. Let's just follow mercy and be loved, kiss anyone. And, well, if you do that, you will destroy the world. Because we are not there yet. We forgot about Elokim. You cannot forget one of the attributes. You have to go by the two of them as oneness, and that's our task. For that we are born. So that's what it means. Elokim said to the merciful one, we follow Rashi here. We'll see in a minute or next time that there are other figures that Elokim talked to many others. But one of the first attribute, the first counselor that he consulted with was one either equal to him in power or greater than him in power, another attribute of the infinite creator, which is a merciful one. We haven't discussed their name yet. So the merciful one and she, they got together and they agree and to create Adam in their oneness. And that's the source of idolatry. If you don't violate oneness, if you worship only one face of the Creator, you forget about the other face of the Creator, either you worship your father or your mother separately, forgetting about the oneness, the infinite Creator that is above everything. If you forget that, you will never please both. You will have to please both. You see, they are a couple. They love each other. Here we talk about the couples, the Kala. So the beloved one, they're also kind of a couple. This is a heavenly couple. So the heavenly couple, they got together and they love each other in harmony, and so it means that despite their enormous dichotomy, there is a common ground, and the common ground is the Torah. Now one may say to me, well, I don't believe there is a common ground. Elokim, the absolute justice, is so much opposing to the merciful. I just cannot put them together. How can I put together the absolute mercy to tell me to forgive everything, not to judge anyone, to open my jail, to release everyone, not to execute anyone? How can I take this and take Elokim word, which is just the opposite, tooth for a tooth and eye for an eye? So how can I take the two opposing ideas and make them one? It's impossible. Well, I tell you, there is one proof that's possible. That's us. The very fact that we are here, we are created in their oneness. They got together in harmony and they made us. So if I exist, it means that I can implement their oneness, because I was made to answer their oneness. So it's possible. You cannot say it's impossible. Now I know that you can ask me, well, Tzvi, you say, I hear what you're telling me. How do I know this is true, what you're telling me? Well, it's maybe it's a Kabbalistic work, and what does it mean to me? And how do I know that what I'm telling you is really Judaism? And by the way, I want to tell you before I slip my mind, one step before I'm going to prove you that what I was saying is true. The consultation, he consulted, okay? Now the consultation in Hebrew, that's another miracle of the Hebrew language, that you cannot see it in any other language. To consult in Hebrew is to say nimlach, and miraculously that's the same word as a king. A king, so who is a king? A king is not a tyrant. A tyrant is a moshel, is a tyrant. In Hebrew it's a moshel, as the Vilna Gaon used to say. So the tyrant is a moshel, but the king will consult. Who is a king? In Hebrew, who is melech? The nimlach. Who is a king? Who is a king? The one who consult. So it's like a democratic king. A king will consult. So he stopped here, and when he started to consult, he turned around and he was not a tyrant anymore, and he became a king. So we'll talk about one day the concept of kingship in the Torah, of the Elokim, and what does it mean, kingship. It's all related to Rosh Hashanah, because Rosh Hashanah is a day that we not only stand in judgment, but we enthrone him. So people will always ask me, and I remember many people ask me, what do you mean enthroning a God? What do you need to enthrone God? They don't understand the story. God became enthroned when he consulted. When he consulted, whoever he consulted the first one to consult, he consulted the merciful one. So when he consulted, he stopped becoming a tyrant and he became a king who consult. In Hebrew, it's rhyme. In Hebrew, it comes out right. In Nimlach and in Nimlach, the same word, Nimlach, means he consulted with and he became a throne, a king. So now we understand why the Sabbath is a queen and he is a king. Or the merciful one is a queen and he is a king. So because they got together and he consulted each other with love and harmony. So when we in Rosh Hashanah we enthrone him, actually we repeat the story. We enthrone him, it means we appreciate the fact that he's not a tyrant anymore, but he stepped down from being a supreme judge. He stepped down from being a supreme judge, don't regard anyone, he just follows the supreme law. And he became a king, a government, who consult. So a kingship is a stepping down from tyranny, from the power of tyranny. And that we appreciate in Rosh Hashanah. We don't want it to be, and we want him to, we pray to him, God, step down, God, from your harsh judgment, and consult, and consult his mercy. And let us see the next year. That's what we do in Rosh Hashanah. So all we were talking here today and so far is just to give you the background of Rosh Hashanah, what Bnei Noach should also worship and celebrate every year. Now, I told you I'm going to prove to you So what I said, and give me just 1 minute and I'll read it for you. You see in the Holy Temple, on the Holy Temple, let us make in our image is a reference to Elokim and earth. No, well, we'll talk about it. It's possible. It is possible. It is possible that there are other options to whom is consult, but it's important to keep in order. Order of consultation. What came first? What came second? We got 2 more minutes for our class. Let me read it for you. Something that can prove to you that what I was saying is really in line. In the Holy Temple of Jerusalem, there was a custom for the Levite choir. Every day of the week, they selected one song appropriate for the day, according to the story of creation. So on Sunday, on this first day, they sang, they chanted a certain psalm that's really fit for Sunday. Second day for the first day, then for Monday, for the second day, and then for the third day. Each day there is a psalm song that they sang. Now when they came to the 6th day, to Friday, the song they chanted in the Holy Temple, and we still do it in the synagogue on every Friday, he says like this: Hashem will reign, will have rain. He will have dawn grandeur. Hashem will have dawn might. The heaven and the earth became firm and should not falter. See, it should not falter. When you became a king, they should not falter. I will print it for you next time, so we'll see it there. So the song, the psalm song, it's number 93, and it repeats the story. Because once they got together, the two cherubs, they flew over the earth, over the creation, and they consolidated it. From now on, the threat was taken off. It was left for the final judgment. But as long as we are here, we remove the threat, and the universe was consolidated, and Elokim wouldn't annihilate it as he initially wanted to do, as long as we are here and we are still on trial. So as long as we are here, the universe is consolidated. But at the end of the day, the end of the 6th day, when there will be a final judgment, and he will judge if he's very pleased with us or not. Any question? I think we ended up the hour, and we have so much to talk about. I'll put it again for you on the internet there, so you can read it and reread it, and open your Bible, read it again, and try to digest it. Any question? No question? I see here the question about the earth created from the ground. Yeah, we'll talk about how he created, how the process, how the two attributes went together, and how they build us. That's very important, because we need to know ourselves. Remember, idolatry is to know him and to know ourselves. To know ourselves. And to know ourselves, we need to know why we are built and how we build us. If we don't know ourselves, how we build us, we will never win our task. So he built us to comply with the Elokim world, from earth, from whatever is in this universe, how to cope with it, how to rule it. At the same time, we need to also to meet her demand. So what you're asking me is just what we're going to discuss next step, how the mother and father, the two attributes, the two cherubs, how they got together, how they really made us finally. I think I'll have to stop here, and I really appreciate you being with me, opportunity to discuss those beautiful things with you, and we'll see you next week. Shalom. Take care, and with God help you, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
This concludes this Torah teaching. We hope that you have enjoyed it as much as we have enjoyed bringing it to you. We also hope that you will consider joining others in making a donation to Noahide Nations and become part of maintaining the Noahide Nations Torah Network. With your support, we can continue to bring these fabulous Torah teachings to you and to the world. Please visit us at www.noahidenations.com. We thank you again for joining us and invite you to continue to visit for upcoming classes here on the Noahide Nations Torah Network.